Sorry, I was with my mic off. Hello, good day, it's Lady, and I'm gonna share with you today the explanation of this real English class session. The topic is about myth, legends, and urban mysteries. But unfortunately, just one student inscribed for this class, but she didn't answer my calls. So even though she was online, but didn't accept the call. So I'm just gonna explain what was the idea for today. And for a start, I will share my screen. And it was real English, urban legends and mysteries, myth and legends. The lesson objectives was the objective one. The students should be able to identify unique characteristics of myth and legends. Also, the objective number two is the students should be able to compare and contrast myth and legends and have a little bit of discussion here and there. The objective number three was, let me just move this a little bit up here. And the objective number three was the students should be able to show appreciation for the cultural and historical contributions of myth and legends. The lesson agenda was what is a myth? Like some questions that I have for the students, and they should answer so we can have a like mutual conversation. What is a myth? Discussion on the etymology of the word myth and its a literal definition. Characteristics of a myth, emphasis on the characteristics of a myth and how to identify a myth from other similar genres. The number three was what is a legend? Discussion on the etymology of the word legend and its literary definition. Characteristics of a legend and emphasis on the characteristics of a legend and how to identify a legend and from other also similar genres. The myth. So the word myth it's derived from the Greek word mythos, which refers to anything transmitted orally. So a myth is a traditional story, especially one that is referring to a people's early past or explaining natural or social phenomena, and it typically involves supernatural entities and occurrences. Myths are also stories that imaginatively and symbolically recount to the complete the fundamental structure of a culture. So, characteristics of a myth. We have myth are frequently presented as a fact. The audience believe these stories because they provide sensible answers. Myth teach individuals how to conduct and live accordance with cultural fundamentals, values, and beliefs. And also, the setting of a story is typically a scene and set in a world very similar to our own, but with supernatural beings. Myths contain an account of how something came to exist in the world, and most myth involves goods with superpower. Gods with superpower. Myths also carries the value of a culture from one generation to the next, and also from other part of the world to the other. This good quotation is taken from the best-selling author Rosa Maria Aguado. The legend. So the word legend is derived from the medieval Latin legenda, which means things to be read, and from Latin legere, meaning read. A legend usually includes an element of true or based on historic facts but with mythical qualities. The spiritual belief of the culture from which a legend originates are frequently included in histories, which typically involve horrific figures or fantastic locals. Legends can change with time, facts will be altered or exaggerated a little bit, and vivid details will remain or become more or less vivid. Legends are also stories of human actions that are believed by the storyteller and the audience story to have taken place in actual story. Also, legends are written in such a way as to be at last potentially true. They can change with time and remain new, vibrant, and interesting. Also, there are is like definite and time and place in legends. They frequently involve cultural belief and concepts. Uh, Old stories recreate the most suitable thoughts and offer an endless sequence of sophisticated narrative with fidelity. This quotation is taken also from the best-selling author, that is Rosa Maria Aguado. So, myth versus legend. We have in the section of myths that myths involves gods and goddess with superpowers. And on legend, we have that legends are more focusing on a cultural hero rather than the supernatural gods. Myths are frequently presented as a facts. The audience believe these stories because they provide sensible answers. And while the myth might be related, exaggerated, the legend is usually based on some historical facts. The setting is a typical ancient and set in the world, very similar to our own, with supernatural beings. And there is a definite time and place in legends. They frequently involve cultural belief and concepts. And that was the plan. There we have shared some experience. What myths do you know? Tell us about those legends or myths or supernatural histories. But unfortunately, like I mentioned just before, nobody attended. So this was the idea of the class for today. And see you next time. And I hope you like this video.